Now, Lucy Connolly, the mother who, of course, was imprisoned for 377 days over a solitary social media post, well, unfortunately, she's been dealt another setback. It's been revealed her 13-year-old daughter, Edie, has been barred from attending a new school, with Lucy fearing the decision was inspired by her own free speech scandal that, of course, saw her jailed over that infamous Southport tweet.
This important interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your money and your identity. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code here to get ExpressVPN right now and save up to 73% on annual plans today. Right, let's get back into it.
Well, Lucy joins me live down the line now. Lucy, great to see you. Thanks again for your company on The Late Show Live. If your situation wasn't bad enough, we read now that your poor daughter, Lucy, who struggled during your imprisonment, I think you had letters from the school highlighting how she was struggling during the time you were in jail. She's now seemingly been punished for simply being associated with you. Just tell us what's happened here, Lucy.
Hi, Ben. Yeah, so she was due to start a new school. It's what they call an off-site direction. It was almost like an agreement between her current school and this other school. It's like a 6-week placement. They see how they get on, and then we speak at the end of it to see whether the new school is more suited or they go back to the original school. So it's an ideal situation, really. So the school had arranged this between them. We'd gone in to see the new school. We'd had a meeting. This was on the Wednesday. Edie got on really well. She met with the deputy head. It was all given the go-ahead. We signed paperwork. As far as we were concerned and as far as Edie was concerned, she was starting the school on the following Monday. So she was given a start date of the 17th of November. She was looking forward to going. You know, as I said, we think she needed a fresh start. Not that the school she's in haven't been brilliant, because they really have. They've been really supportive. But sometimes people just need a fresh start, don't they? So, yeah, all good to go. Signed the paperwork, had the meeting. The following evening, the Thursday evening, it was quite late. I was in the gym and I got a phone call from 2 of the teachers at our current school, who I happen to get on quite well with and I have a good relationship with them. And they said, oh, you know, we've got some bad news, Lucy. We're really sorry, but they've pulled Edie's place. And I said, why? What do you mean they've pulled her place? They can't just pull her place. They've told her she's starting. And they were like, you could tell they felt really awkward. And they just said, do you know what? We're just going to come out and say it because, you know, we're always honest with you. We've got a good relationship. So the long and short of it is the head teacher found out that, you know, who you were. She's put a block on the off-site direction, on the move. In a roundabout way, she said, you know, racism doesn't go down well in their school. And if the other children found out who Edie's mother was, there might be a ruckus. So I was like, you what? Say that again? And they were equally as disgusted. You know, they were like, no, we were as equally as disgusted as you. This is terrible. This is awful. So I was like, you're telling me that a head teacher of another local school deems it, you know, fit to discriminate against my child, my vulnerable child that's already been through quite enough, because essentially she doesn't like my political views. That's what it boils down to. I mean, in what world is this okay? It is outrageous. And in what world is this okay?
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GBNews viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 73% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 73% off ExpressVPN plus 4 extra months free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Yeah, no, that's disgusting, especially considering what Edie, as far as I've heard from you previously, went through during your time in imprisonment. I mean, how did she deal with you being in jail? What was it like for her, the poor girl? She was 12 when you were jailed, right?
I mean, we're very lucky, you know, her and my husband are still together. She has a great relationship with him. You know, friends and family stepped in and helped as much as they could. You know, Ray made sure her life changed as little as possible, as best as he could. You know, his work were very good. They let him, you know, have a lot of time off to, you know, to get her in and out of school and stuff. But, you know, she was understandably and still can be quite angry. That's her, like, she's 13 years old. She doesn't really know how to communicate her feelings. You know, her default setting is anger. So she's just this little ball of anger, you know, and has been for the last probably 9 months. Yeah, and she's been a lot better actually, but obviously this is a massive setback for her. She was really, really upset. And you know what kids are like? She's probably gone around telling these people at the new school, I'm coming to your school, and telling her friends at the current school, oh, I'm leaving, I'm going to blah, 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 you know. It's not good for them,
Yeah.
is it? They're street cred, and she, you know, and like I said, she's already
Is she gutted?
a vulnerable child.
Yeah, sorry to interject. She's gutted then, is she? She's disappointed and feels like she's being directly punished for.
And how do you explain that to a 13-year-old? It's really very difficult, isn't it? And we, you know, and it was a difficult conversation. We had to. You can't lie to her. She's 13. She's not daft. And but on the other hand, we didn't want her to think it was because of her, because it isn't. It's not because of her. It's because of me. And you know, I said to this head teacher, you know, you should know that Edie has never had any trouble with any other children because of my situation. You know, her friends have been great. You know, the parents of her friends have been great. No, she's never had any backlash from other children as a result of me going to prison. And you know, I don't believe for one second that school has not got other children there where that they're either in care or parents are in prison and all of those kind of things. And it's part of the school's job to ensure those children are included. You know, they have inclusion policies and discrimination policies and all of those things, all of which they didn't adhere to.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you draw the line? Do you go on parents' Facebook posts or X posts and say, oh, well, they don't agree with young children having their genitals chopped off at the altar of trans ideology? Or this guy thinks that climate change, you know, isn't as bad as first made out. Your kid's not coming to school. Where do you draw the line? Lucy, can I ask you, please, is it a state school or is it a private school? And additionally, do you feel, as a mother, do you feel how do you feel the fact that your baby is now getting, I guess, punished in this way because of something that you did? Do you feel guilty, or do you feel like, I don't know, how do you feel?
Of course I feel good. It is a state school, yeah. Unfortunately, she won't go to private school not for lack of trying on our behalf, because I'm not a state school lover, actually. I think for this kind of reason, I think that politics is you know, made its way into the schools, and it has a big impact on how teachers sometimes treat the children, etc., etc. And I do actually worry. I mean, I've not seen any evidence of it at our current school, but I do worry. I think, you know, are those teachers going to pick on her or be awful to her because of who, you know, they don't like me or they don't like my opinions? It is always a worry. But, you know, I worked in the education sector, as you know, for a long time before I went to prison. And you know, it makes me laugh, the irony of it, because I see, you know, these trolls online, you know, the lefties online, oh, I wouldn't let her near anybody's children. She was a childminder, da-da-da-da-da. But never in a million years have I, or would I, put politics or bring politics in, into an environment where I'm looking after children or the parents that I'm working for or anything like that. I was extremely professional, and they will all back me up in that. It's nothing to do with the children. And even any disagreements you might have with somebody, you would never ever take it out on their children. There's lots of people I don't like, but I wouldn't dream of being awful to their children or not including their children in something because I don't like the parent. I just wouldn't. And this is a professional person, a head teacher of a large state secondary school. Just how dare she? First of all, it's a tax-funded school. All should be welcome, not just those of whose children have parents that might be on the left or whatever politics it is or ideology she's got in her head. But there's no way those teachers at Edie's current school would have said what they said and put their own reputation and their own jobs on the line if that wasn't the case, if it wasn't true. I mean, she's trying to backtrack now, this head teacher, and I don't want to say too much because I have got lawyers involved, and I will take this as far as I can take it, just because I think that this is not acceptable on any level. It's irrelevant what you think of me, what you think of what I did or didn't do, or what your feelings on it. She's a child. The absolute double standards of these people is just something else.
Well, good for you for fighting it. You've said you've got lawyers involved now. We're, of course, not going to name the school, but, good for you for standing your ground, because you shouldn't, as you know, you're a strong woman, you shouldn't just sit there and take it. And the fact, I'd do the same. If they came for my kids, goodness me, I would be fired up.
You can come for me all you like, but not my children, not my cub. You can't do that.
Yeah, no. Not your baby, I get it. And it makes me worry. I'm not worried, but I think as well, what's going to happen to my children in the playground? They're 6 and nearly 3 in the playground when they know, kids know their dad's on GBNews and maybe he says some things which riles some people on the left up. Fortunately,
I don't think it's the children that we need to be worried about. Kids are quite forgiving and they don't judge. It's like none of them are born judgmental or racist or any of those things, are there? It's things that they're taught. When children judge or for whatever reason or say things, it's because they're taught that's the way they're taught. Children are very, very inclusive, very forgiving, and that's the worst thing. If it was a child that said something, I could forgive them. I'd be like, well, kids will be kids and they can be mean sometimes. But this is a professional grown woman, older than me. She should know better.
Yeah, indeed. Luckily at my older boy's school, lots of the teachers say hello to me when I'm lucky enough to pick him up or drop him off, and they say they love watching the show, so that's good for now. See what happens in a few years, eh? Lucy, one more question before I let you go. In this Mail on Sunday piece today where you've spoken, your husband Ray described how shortly before Edie's 13th birthday in July, last year, I think during your prison sentence, or was it this year, apparently, just tell us about this. You had a comment from somebody. Was it your probation officer or somebody? You bumped into an employee, or he did, from the prison, who said they did everything they could to try and get you day release to see Edie during your time in prison. Some time out of jail, maybe for a day, to see your baby. But apparently there was a Zoom meeting with the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, at the time. Are you concerned? Do you think Yvette Cooper personally got involved with stopping your release from prison to see your baby girl?
You'll never convince me otherwise. All I know on that situation was on that day, it was about 4 weeks before I was due to be released on the 21st of August. The prison governor was called to a meeting with the Home Secretary, who was Yvette Cooper at the time. I don't know whether it was her that attended in person or one of her people. I don't know. I just know that she was due to have a meeting, like a team Zoom kind of meeting with the governor at Peterborough Prison. I never found out what was said or what that meeting was about, and then obviously when it was double checked, they approached Yvette Cooper's team. There was just a denial. No, it didn't happen. But I have it on good authority that it did. So I don't know why that the Home Secretary would be having a meeting with the governor about any prisoner, to be quite honest, because it's down to courts and parole boards and those kind of things as to what happens to prisoners and when they're released, not individuals in the government.
Yeah, and of course it was Lord Hermer, the Attorney General as well, who, as far as I remember, he was involved in the somehow, was it the appeal of the sentencing of your case?
Yeah, apparently he signed off my prosecution.
Okay,
For
so you've got the Attorney
CPF.
General, Keir Starmer's Bezzy mate, who was involved in your case. Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary at the time, was for some reason Zooming your prison governor at Peterborough. Oh, who knows what's going on? Oh, goodness me. Maybe you don't need to spell it out. Lucy, thanks for your company again on the Late Show Live. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Hope you're doing okay, and send our best wishes to your daughter Edie as well. And if she's like you, I'm sure she's tough as a nut and strong indeed. We'll catch up soon.
All right, thanks, Ben. Bye.